So, Stephanie, being a well-travelled person, I'm hoping you'll understand this joke. So, I met a lot of good dogs at an animal shelter in Denmark, but only one Great Dane.
Okay. You got a chuckle out of me. More than that. Okay. Where do you get your jokes from, Talos?
Sorry, where?
Where do you get your jokes from?
Well, I like to sort of find jokes that are, around the person we're interviewing. So for you, I was like, well, you recently got a dog, so I have to find something around dogs. Then I found one around Denmark. So I'm like, well, that's close. So I thought, that's got Steffi all over it.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope the dog joke wasn't too rough.
Put another one in. There you go.
Oh, man. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Masterful Morning Show. Today, we have the wonderful Stefanie Thomas on the show. She is a holistic health practitioner, an original Masterful manifestor, and we're looking forward to diving into all of the things that she's been up to, how she has manifested in her life, and all of that. Welcome to the show, Stefanie.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So to kick us off, could you tell us where you're at these days and what you're up to?
All right. As I'm not, no, you don't think you did mention that. I am originally from Germany, but literally where I am right now is in the Netherlands. Have been here for 16 years. That was not the plan originally, but it works out for the moment. And I am doing two things. I work with people one-on-one on health issues, challenges, mostly kind of tricky conditions. So I just took a client on last week who's got MS, but I'm also doing performance coaching with companies. So it's kind of two departments, so to speak. And otherwise here with my kids who are teenagers. And as Taylor said, a dog since about exactly a year now. So we have a fifth family member. And yeah, learning all the time how to run a business online because it's changing literally every week, as you guys know as well. And that's it, learning myself, learning for my clients, with my clients, but also basically how to live a good life, really. That's it.
That's awesome. Steph, one of the things I really enjoyed is watching you with different goals, different accomplishments that you've had. And I've always had a very strong sense of you being very driven. And again, like you said, with the studying and looking up things, it's always been very predominant in what you're working at. And I'm just really curious, what it is that you're going after with just all of that passion that is driving you and has you looking into everything and studying and learning and pushing forward. Is there a specific goal or something that you're going after that's really pulling you?
That's a good question. I think, and you might laugh at this because I wasn't really a big reader and a study. I mean, I was a school-driven person to get this result kind of output kind of goal. But I was not a big reader until in my 20s when I discovered what I was passionate about. Until then, I had lots of books about, how to eat the frog, first thing in the morning and how to not procrastinate and how to fight the gremlins of, not doing the things that you would said you would do. And now it's the opposite because I think the drive is when you find something that you're really passionate about. And for me, it is how to live my best life. It sounds very Oprah-like, but it's about health as the foundation. And I, as a holistic health practitioner, it really is so big. Human beings are complicated. So I work with humans, but we have the emotional side, we have the mental side. It's about the brain. It's about what you eat. It's about your habits. It never ends. So once you've found your passion of how to be a better human, and then how to help other people to be a better human, which in the end is basically helping yourself to be a better human because they're just mirroring back what they see and vice versa. And I think that's the drive, how to be a better human in all aspects. And I happen to choose health as the umbrella, but it comes in every aspect. And that's I think that's it. So I will never stop learning, because we're just too complicated to do that. And the more I learn, the more I feel like, okay, I know nothing. It's a bit like, I think Seneca said that, huh? The more you learn, the more you know nothing, or Socrates.
Yeah.
So that's my experience too.
So many layers. Awesome.
Thanks.
So you were mentioning before that you approach it from a holistic health point of view, but you also mentioned that you're working with someone with MS. So I guess two-part question. Firstly, how do you go about the holistic side of it? And then what are you drilling down to be specific, i.e. for the person with MS?
Well, the way I ended up with specializing, also put it not only working people with MS, but also being able to help people with MS, is because my journey was around food. Food is still my comfort, my addiction, my kind of love-hate relationship, because sometimes it's really serving you and sometimes you're just using it to calm emotions, when I'm realizing it doesn't really help me in the long run. The ice cream might help right now, but 3 hours or maybe 30 minutes later, I'm like, shouldn't have done that. So that was kind of the food is a big drive for me to learn how to find your best way of eating. And being on that journey, I found Dr. Terry Wolf's, I think 8 years ago, her TED Talk, Mind My Mitochondria, became really big. And she's a doctor in Iowa who has been able to go into remission from MS, because I think you're never allowed to say I've healed MS, because they always will have the condition. But she is free of symptoms, free of medication. And she did that with food mainly, also lifestyle. But the biggest part of the puzzle was food. And I was so fascinated. I was like, how do you do that? How did you do that? And she uses it like medicine. How can you use food like medicine? So I qualified as one of her practitioners, which means you can use all the tools. You get really trained in depth by her, and you can connect with her monthly. If you work with somebody, I don't know all the medications, I don't know all the ins and outs of the illnesses, but she does. So I created a network of people. When I'm like, how do you do that? I know where to find the answer. So how do you do that with MS? Food is a big part. So I'm using that from the training from her. But what I do, and I had to prepare the client and I prepare people who work with me, I do a deep dive. I really want to know, were you a wanted child? Were you planned or not? Were you a C-section or natural birth? How were your first few years in life? Because they form who you are. Then what were traumas? What were your biggest stresses? What are your biggest stressful thoughts now? So I really want to go on a journey from the day of even before conception to the very moment that they work with me now. And then I also dissect and analyze their habits now. I want to know, walk in their shoes for 10 days. When do they get up? When they go to sleep? Is it like Melanie who gets up at 4 Christ morning to be on this show? Or is it somebody who sleeps long? Things like that. And that's the holistic approach. So the whole life plays out. And that includes emotional trauma. That might include head injury. So I really want to know everything. And for some people, that's a little bit too much. It's a bit too intimate. But I feel as a holistic health practitioner, if I'm missing some of that, that might be where part of the issue comes from. So that's, and in some ways, if you have MS or dementia or another autoimmune or whatever, cardiovascular disease, that's just the manifestation of what's going on in their life. And then you're looking at all the pieces to help them out of that. I hope that answered it.
Yeah, so Stefanie, we love self-development, and we've been in several communities together, working on our own growth and self-development. So I'm curious as to what maybe some daily habits, some routines that you have in place that help keep you going, keep your momentum up, keep you motivated. So what does that look like to you?
I'm still changing my structures. But what's not changing is that there is a structure, put it that way. So there has to be a daily practice, and not to be too attached to what that is what I'm learning as you grow older. However, if there isn't anything in place, you are just an autopilot, and that's not a good place to be. That's really the key. So for me at the moment, and that might be different in a year's time, it was different 2 years time. At the moment, some kind of meditation, always. And there could be mindfulness, transcendental, that your pick, but at least I'd say 20 minutes a day of meditation should be happening. Goals, to be aware of your goals and to remind you of your goals. I do that now with voice memos. I played with apps, but in the end, I'm just doing a voice memo, talking to myself, and then I put it into VLC, the app, and in the VLC app, you can put it on a loop. So when I walk my dog, but there's another thing, movement, you need to move. Honestly, we get stuck. If our body doesn't move, we get stuck in our thoughts. It's just not healthy. We have to have that movement in life with movement in your body. So that's really, they go hand in hand. Nature, that's one of the reasons, very selfishly, why we got a dog, because when you have a dog, you have to go out. It doesn't matter. And like 5 days ago, it was hailing every 20 minutes. It was bizarre, but you have to walk him. And he's a relatively big dog. So 4 times a day, you're out, so at least once, because we have 4 people in the house, so it works out nicely, but at least once a day, you're out, at least 20 minutes. So that's, I would say, meditation, movement, mindset, remind yourself where you're going, be in nature. And what I'm still working on, managing your thoughts. So right now I'm going deeper into Bob Proctor's work, thinking into results as a program that they're doing. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think Mel knows about that. So I try and read a chapter or listen to one of the chapters every day. And I actually hired a coach who works maybe once a week to kind of not get swept away by daily busyness, because God, we're all busy, aren't we? So and I would easily be swept away with that unless I knew every Friday she's going to ask me, what did you do? Where are you at the chapter? What did you do every day? Did you do some gratituding? That's another thing I'd say. She calls it gratituding, but gratitude journaling to shift your thought pattern. That's work in progress. I could be better at that. So that's where I'm working on, or that's what I'm working at with a coach to keep me accountable and kind of give me a little push in the right way when I need it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can people go to find you or learn more about what you're up to, Stefanie?
Pretty easy. StefanieThomas.com is the website, and Facebook and Instagram, Stefanie Thomas Health. And that's a work in progress. At the moment, I'm again shifting it because I work with 3 business coaches. Sean Crofton was the first one. And now I'm moving more into, it's called authentic marketing, where it's really a lot less sales driven, it's more service driven. So the idea is really you're separating selling from content, because that's what I felt over time. It just didn't feel right. There was always some purpose behind it, and that wasn't right. So now I'm shifting it more into just producing content that helps. And once in a while I said, if you want to work with me, those are the places where you can find me. So watch the platform. It will change in the next few weeks because I'm shifting it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Stefanie, for taking the time today, joining the Masterful Morning Show. And we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Hope you have a great time.